Welcome to Thoughts and Teens in Focus. I'm your host, Patricia Trim, with another edition of Youths of the Community and How Can the Community Help Our Youths. Our program this month, as you all know, it's Women's Month, and we'll be celebrating great American African women who paved the way for segregation to be abolished, slavery to be abolished, voting rights, job rights, education rights, and everything that you could think about. That is today we have freedom to it all. They have made extremely effort so that all immigrants can come and enjoy the rights of America. Immigrants who are brought here by as slave from Africa and to other countries in the Caribbean island. So you know, they took us out from our homeland, and we're going to climb into their castle because we need to have the life that we would have had in our homeland. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our wonderful show with Miss Fannie.
Welcome to Thoughts and Teens in Focus. I am your host, Patricia Trim. Welcome you to another edition of Thoughts and Teens in Focus. Thoughts and Teens in Focus is a community organization. It's an NGO, and it's a New York State organization. Thoughts and Teens, it's focused on the community and how can the community help our youths. And it's been around for a very long time. Television, community program, health fair, fashion show, youth ambassador program, you name it, we did it all. We did it all in the community. We did it in Manhattan. Wherever we interview elected officials, we ask their opinion, we ask their advice, we seek information. How can the community help our youths? And this month, it's Women's Month. And we are focusing on some women who you may never have heard of, or you did hear about them, but not really any emphasis was placed upon them because they are all historians. They all played a part in this society for us. They all played a part that our young people could able to have an education, can vote, can be involved in the community programs. So this month, it is Women's Month, and Thoughts and Teens will be focusing on women. Because women is an important part of the society. You would see what came out of the Women March. Women are the Tarion. Women are the one with the forces. Women will knock down everybody to save their child. So it's very much important that we focus on women because of the women, the historian women who paved the way, who did things, who create opportunity, who open doors, who speak out loud, didn't care what happened. As for me, I speak with a very big mouth, and I just don't care because I speak the truth. If I'm saying anything that is not true, well then I will shut my mouth. But once I know it's truth, once I know right must be right, wrong is wrong, I will keep on speaking and voicing my opinion. Today, I'll be speaking of Miss Fannie Lou Hamer. And Fannie Lou Hamer, probably some of you may have heard of her, and some of you may not have heard of her. But Fannie Lou Hamer, she was born in 1917, and she died in 1977. She was a civil rights activist, and you see how many years that Black African women or men were standing up for the rights of all Black Americans. Well, you know, we all came from Africa in different ship, different shore, different massa. Our ancestor bore the whip on their back, the chains around them. They had to be maids. They were slaves. They were not allowed. They were sold. And when they leave one family, it was a gift to another family. So these things are very much important that, you know, our young people be told. Do not hide or curry favor anything about what is going on. Let them know exactly what is going on, because sometimes we tend to don't want to hear about the Black history, or don't want to hear about what our ancestors went through. And I know that's me, because it gets me very angry when I hear the situation of how they had to, you know, the lashes and what the whip masters, and, you know, it really upset me, and I become very hateful, and I try not to listen to it, because I just don't want to be hateful. I just want to be a person to love everybody. And when you hear these things, you feel very hurtful, hateful, and I don't want to be that. I want to be a person that can reach out across the aisles and reach out to every person, every nation. So I'm going to do Fannie Lou Hamer, and we're going to talk about her because she has some very interesting story. And she was an activist, and she stood up. She was there in the times of need, in the times to bring today that when our Black Americans declare that they are not voting, it really hurts to know that these historians went through so much. They saw pictures of dogs biting them, how the white policemen beating them, take off their neck, and all this thing, you know, decapitate them. This was hurtful, and it hurt to see that these historians fight their way, that Black Americans have the right to vote. Black Americans have the right to education. Black Americans have the right to be involved, right to work in offices, right to sit on the bus, right to freedom. And to know that when you look at our young Black people, you see they're going to jail just like if they have rights to go to jail, just like the prison is what? Modern day slavery. You just locking up people, locking up young Black men. They do anything, sometimes they didn't do anything, you just lock them down because the prison is a business that's going on, monies for bodies, and these type of things. Our young people should know that they are part of a society that is controlled by the white supremacists, and they are controlled to have bodies for money in prison. And you parents have to educate your children and let them know there is no longer bodies for money in prison. There is education and higher education, and they can do it. So you have to give them the opportunity. You have to talk to them. Don't depend on the teachers to do it. Parents have to take responsibility of their children. As I always say, if the parents is not involved in Tots and Teens program, the children will not be involved, because the parents have to take responsibility. You have to be there. Take some time to know your children. Take some time to know about your children. Take some time to have a discussion with your children. Or else you will be having discussion with the judge, or else you'll be having to visit the prison, or else you'll be having to be at the police, or else you'll be having to be at their funeral. And we have to let our young people know, our children, our parents, as they say, children making children. But in the olden days, children used to be making children because young girls were married at the age of 14, 15, and all the way like that. You were young. If you meet 21 and you married, they call you an old woman. So you had to get married before you're 18. If you were 21 and you married, they call you old women. So you have to, you know, it's not about children making children. Making children has been happening for ages. There is no excuse that children are making children today. There is no excuse about that, because it was in the society. If you are not married, if you don't get married, you're old, something wrong with you. So everybody wants to get married and try to marry at a young age. People were married at a young age. so that they can say, well, they're not an old person. And they went through a lot of hard times being married at such a young age because they had no experience. They were beaten by their husbands, battered. I know a man that touched me, he will not have another hand. So, you know, this is the type of thing that we have to think, not because the children are having children that they are bad. It's a development. It's not what parents would like. But at the same time, we can't throw them down. We can't throw them out. We have to support them so that they can get an education, so they can support their children, because you don't want them ending up in the prison. Young men don't know what is right from what is wrong. They think sex is a joy. And honestly speaking, they don't even know what is sex. They just have sex, but they don't know the reason of sex. So these are the type of thing that we need to bring to our children. Have that parent and child talk. Have that father and son discussion. Fathers, young men, I know that some of you went in the jail and you lose hope. Do not lose hope. Even if you went to prison, you can still come out and make a difference. Make a difference. Get your education and help your children. You don't want to see your children going to the prison. You don't want to be, because you were in jail, your sons and daughters have to be in jail. It's not right. So, you know, we have to try to do something better. So I'm going to read about Fannie Lou Hamer, an activist who she was so passionate. Fannie Lou Hamer, she was born in 1917. And she died in 1977. She was a civil rights activist whose passionate deception of her own suffering in a racist society helped focus attention on the plight of Africans. And because she had the experience and she don't want to see our young people, and that is why our young people, young African, pick up yourself and be somebody. You can do it. You are brilliant. You are bright. You're beautiful. You can make it. You can overcome any obstacle, no matter what you have endured. Racism is not going to go anywhere. It's here to stay. Racism is not leaving. It's here to stay, and we have to try and triumph, because wherever we go, African American will always have, any African person will always have a problem with racism. Every other nation always comes against us. I think we are just beautiful. We are just well tanned. We don't have to go in the sun to get tan. We already tan. So I think that is the type of thing. So we have to know that racism is not going to leave. It will be there. And we have to overcome it. Suffering in a racist society helped focus her attention on the plight of African Americans throughout the South. In 1964, working with Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, Hamer helped organize the 1964 Freedom Summer African American Voters Registration Drive to her native. You see how these women know what is going on, and they did it because why they do it, because they know the generation that comes after them will not have to go through that experience that they went through. And yet still, you black people did not vote. At the Democratic National Convention later that year, she was part of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, an integrated group of activists who openly challenged the legality of Mississippi. And I'm sure that a lot of you heard about Mississippi, and we used to say M-I-S-S-I-S-S-P-P-I, Mississippi, and that was where the real racism and hatred was being done in Mississippi by those white KKK people. An integrated group of activists who openly challenged the legality of Mississippi. Born Fannie Lou Hamer on October 6, 1917, in Montgomery County, Mississippi. The daughter of a sharecropper, Hamer began working the fields at an early age. Her family struggled financially and often went hungry in Mississippi, America. Married to Perry Pop Hamer in 1944. Fannie Lou continued to work hard just to get by. In the summer of 1962, however, she made a life-changing decision to attend the protest meeting. She met civil rights activists there who were there to encourage African Americans to register to vote. Hamer became active in helping with the voters' registration efforts. Hamer dedicated her life to the fight for civil rights, working for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. This organization was comprised mostly of African American students who engaged in acts of civil disobedience. I heard the word civil disobedience because everybody, the women who came out to march, said they are operating under civil disobedience to fight racial segregation and injustice in the South. These acts often were met with violent response by angry whites. During the course of her activist career, Hamer was threatened, arrested, beaten, and shot at. You see the amount of things that these black Americans, African Americans went through for the rights of voting, for the rights that we can stand up and demand. Yes, they went through a lot. I never had that experience because I'm from Guyana and we never had that experience. We had a little thing with the races, Indians and black, but I know black people were very, very bullies. So we never really had that type of situation. But my God, I'm so proud of these women that went through this type of thing so that we, Caribbean people, are here and enjoying the life of America, enjoying the freedom, although we have to work hard. We have to get our money. You don't get nothing free. But yet still, hadn't it been for these women, had it been for these historians, there would have not been freedom in today in America. Freedom to vote. There was one time you could not marry to a white person, or a white person could not marry to a black man. That is how drastic the segregation was in America. Today, we see a different race, a different situation, and we see changes. But you know what? Racism is not going to leave. It will be with here for life. During the course of her activist career, Hamer was threatened, arrested, beaten, and shot at, but none of these things ever deterred her from her work. In 1964, Hamer helped found the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, which was established in opposition to her state all-white delegation to that year's Democratic Convention. She brought the civil rights struggle in Mississippi to the attention of the entire nation during a televised session at the convention. The next year, Hamer ran for Congress in Mississippi, but she was unsuccessful in her bid. Along with her political activism, Hamer worked to help the poor and families in need in her Mississippi county. And you know, the white supremacists was ruling Mississippi in those years, and they still are. She also set up organizations to increase business opportunities for minorities and to provide child care for other family service. Hamer died of cancer on March 14, 1977 in Mount Bayou, Mississippi. You see, these women did a lot. You may not hear much about them. You hear about the historian on the bus. You hear about Black Moses. You hear about notable people, but they have some people who did some work too that should be recognized for what they have done. So that is the story of Mary Lou Hamer. A Black American woman from the Mississippi, and she helped turn around the life of young Black Americans in Mississippi. Do not let racism hinder you from progressing. Pay it no mind. Speak it out loud and clear. You will not hold me down. You will not detour me. You will not chase me out. I'm here to stay, and I will be here. So, Black Americans, stand up, watch them in the face and say, hey, brothers, hey, sister, racism is not a part of my life. It is yours, it's not mine. I can overcome racism. And because I can overcome racism, you too will overcome racism. That's the way we have to teach our children. Let them know racism is not going to kill them. If they allow it to kill them, it's just a word. Beware of it. Chase it away. Get thou behind me, Satan. For there is no racism that can deter my future, my goals, my opportunity, my grades. So children, you have a way of speaking life into racism, and let racism know that there is no way that it will deter, there is no way it will keep you down. There is no way that it will make you fall. You will rise above racism. Oh, that was good. That is a good feeling to say racism has no part of my life. No, racism will not deter me. No, racism will not make me go low. Not I, because I am bigger than racism. Racism cannot keep me down unless I allow it to hold me down. But I will rise above all racism. And everything that we can do, we can rise above it. It's a positive thought. We think positive, we speak positive. We see positiveness in every situation. We don't look at what will befall us, but we look how high we can go. Because if you are a positive person, everything positive will be made manifest into your life. That was Thoughts and Teens in Focus, leaving you with a positive word. Be positive and know that racism cannot take you down. You are above and beyond that block. You can climb over that mountain. You can climb up that mountain. You can go over that wall. You can go through that wall. Racism is just a word, not an action. Not something that can kill you. It will if you bent it, but you can deter it and say, get down behind me, Satan. I am a child of God. And I leave these words with you to know that you are, and all of us are, children of God. And there ain't no evil spirit. There ain't no evil power. There ain't no racism that can bring us down when we have God with us. I love you all, and God richly bless you.
Nobody else. Yeah, you walk in. Now when you walk in,
When the curry get hot.
He's the stage assistant manager.
I'm never gonna leave you, never gonna let you down, never gonna turn around and desert you. I'm never gonna make you cry, never gonna say.
Give me two there, bro.
So I'm just like a good butter. No worry about to make me girl because anyway good butter. Telling a strip, I'm not like some boy who make them come so tough. I'm the least in the box so don't got cool and good butter. I'm not good to cross and cross and jump out.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Guyana Cultural Association's 50th anniversary of our Fannie Lou Folk Festival. We're glad that you're here, and I just wanted to know that this main stage will be up and running soon, and to alert you to the fact that there'll be many moving parts, as we do have some individual tents that will be hosting individual activities. You will be guided along the way. While I have your attention, I would like to encourage you to support our vendors. They're here for a reason, so make sure you get your Guyanese artifacts. This will be a great opportunity for you to load up on such items. So stay tuned, and in a few minutes, this main stage will be up and running. Thank you for your attention.